So just follow along, copy if you need, if you must, right? That's fine. Maddie decided to lease a Subaru Forester. Details are given in the ad below. Maddie drove 27,500 kilometers at the end of the lease. Calculate the mileage charge after tax. So if you scan this, the mileage charge right there, we need to go and look up how much are we allowed to drive. And right here, we're told that the mileage allowance, it was just a flat 25,000 kilometers, not per year, nothing like that. I hope you understand, right? 36 months, that's a 3-year lease. Okay, we can go back and forth. So to figure out the mileage charge is kilometers over limit or something like that. Yeah, so I'm going to go 27,500 minus 25,000. That's 2,500, right? I would give you a mark for that, to be honest. And then the cost of the mileage would just be 2,500 kilometers. Multiply it by, where's the mileage charge right here? Yeah. And it does say to add taxes to it, which we already know. Right? So this would be 0.10 cents, right? And I'll just go ahead and add taxes to it right away. This would give you your second mark. So 2,500 times 0.10, that's 250 times 1.12, $280 flat is the, so always circle, clearly indicate your final answer. Same goes for the exam, right? Just make sure you know this is what's answering the question ultimately. So that gives you another mark for that. So let's say you get this all wrong. It doesn't affect you anymore because A is done, right? I will consider whatever you got here. If it's used later on, we'll just continue that. Calculate the total cost of the lease after tax. So it's just the lease, the total lease. So we have a down payment right there, $595. Plus, let's figure out the total payment section here. It's $380 a month per plus tax. So that means that I have to tax it, and then that answer will be multiplied by 36 because there's 36 payments. Right, so this is going to figure out the lease, and I need to add, in this case, 280. Whatever you got in A, I would want that here. Okay, so that would be a good setup. You get 595 plus this chunk right here is 15,321.60 plus the 280. Now it's just a matter of adding everything up. 16,196.60. This is my final answer. It's a little tight there, but you have the formulas. That's what is involved here. Maddie chooses to purchase the leased car at the end of the lease. Calculate the cost of purchase. All right, I hope you understand buyout. Okay, determine what that is. Like, what would it be? So VO is not a good one to have there, right? But anyways, residual value. Hey, watch this. It's a flat amount, right? So it's just 19,850 times 1.12. Because remember, it's from a dealership. Anything from a dealership, 12% when it comes to cars. And that gives you 232, sorry. 22,232. And you can go 0, 0, it doesn't hurt. State one advantage and one disadvantage of leasing as opposed to just financing it. Okay? So an advantage would be lower payments. lower payments, hassle-free return. You're probably, when I say hassle-free return, you're probably thinking, yeah, right. In theory, it's a hassle-free return, but it better be in good condition, right? That's obviously goes without saying. One disadvantage: potential mileage costs, or you can just say restrictions. You are restricted, right? Restricted, or potentially have to pay for the extra mileage. Okay. Any other disadvantages? You can't modify it. You can't make any changes. Permanent changes, you cannot make them. Okay. Sure, you can put seat covers, and that's probably a good idea. Put seat covers and a wheel cover, steering wheel cover, so you're not heating that up, right? Probably a good idea. Go on Amazon, very cheap. Okay. That concludes the leasing portion of this AC. Let's look at number 2. Loveline is planning a trip from Winnipeg to Regina, which is about 570 kilometers. Her car has a fuel economy of, this is what throws students off sometimes. It's like, oh, I have my formula to figure this out. What do I do with that, right? Like, so you don't have to calculate it, it's already given, which means you're most likely going to have to set up a proportion. Okay, calculate the amount of fuel required to make this trip. Fuel, they're asking how many liters. So you just set it up like this: 14.5 liters over 100 kilometers. And if you're driving 570, that's the distance you're wondering about. How many liters are you going to have to get for that trip? This is what I do when I do a road trip to the States or BC or whatever. I go on Google Maps, 1,700 kilometers from here to BC. I go times 2, that's 3,400. And then I just look at my fuel economy and just, you guess, right? Because guess what? Once you get to BC, those mountains, they throw off your fuel economy like you wouldn't believe it, right? But that's what you can do. You can actually use this. Uh, so what is this? I'm just going to give you the answer. You're okay with that, right? There you go. So this is, so I would give you a mark for setup, a mark for the work, and voila, right? Next, if the fuel costs this much per liter, calculate the cost of the trip. Just take the liters and multiply it by whatever the price is. It's frustrating with the gas prices changing like crazy. I always have to, like, my ACs are always outdated. So this is the cost for this particular trip. Loveline is using a smaller car with a fuel economy of 9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is much better, right? It's using less. How much would she save on fuel costs? That's a lot of 3 marks, right? So first you have to, I agree with you, Aiden. First figure out how many liters would you need with that car, right? So that would be, if you cross multiply and divide that, you get 51.3 liters. If it's within the question, don't round here. Just keep it. Keep all decimals. It is 0.3 in this case. So the cost would be 51.3 liters times 1.348. And that gives you 69.15. So now we're not, this isn't the answer. It's just how much would you save? So you have to subtract here. Okay, savings would be 42.26. All right. Is it worth it taking the smaller car? Some people would say, no, I need my space. Right? Others would be like, absolutely, 42. Like I can go out eating for that, right? For that much. So this is this AC here. I would like you to try the next one that I have. Has a partially filled in amortization table. I would like you to try that before we go. Okay, so I'm going to pause this here. Some of you are just waiting for me. That's fine too. At this point, I would like you to at least know, right, that these two amount to your payment, right? Like these, like the lowercase I and the lowercase p, those two get your payment. So really, to get anything between these three here can be found if you have any two, right? You can easily just subtract them to get what's left. So this would be 296.90 minus 261.48, and that is 35.42. Okay. And this one, obviously, we just take away, watch what's happening here, right? This number affects this one. And so we have 9,738.52. Can I say one more time? This number affects these two here, okay? Okay, let's figure out this one here. It's 296.90 minus 34.49. And when you subtract these two, you get, drum roll, 262.41. Okay, and we expect it to go up a little bit. Mr. Dirksen lost half a mark for not putting dollar signs everywhere, right? Anyways, so that's what you get. And then one more here, 262.41. You get 94.76, yeah. 11. Okay, and this is where a lot of us probably, it's like, I don't know what to do there. I need one of these to figure it out. Well, remember, these numbers affect the two here. So if you subtract these two, you're essentially going to find out what happened here, right? Remember, you usually take this number over here and subtract. So you just do the reverse, right? So we're going to subtract these two. I will do it underneath here, maybe 94.76.11 minus 92.12.77. You get 263.34, yeah. So I will ask you for work on a test, but I will give you space to do it. So either on the side or somewhere, because I want to see how you got that number. And once you've got the principal and the payment, you got your interest, right? And so if you subtract these two, you get 33.56. And we see that slowly the interest is going down, slowly the principal is increasing. And our unpaid balance, of course, we're hoping that that would go down over time. Okay, next, state and explain 2 advantages of leasing. It's kind of repetitive a little bit, but I want you to be, I don't want these blank, okay? Give me something, and I'll try to fish for marks if it's off. Hopefully it's right. So advantage of leasing, lower payment, right? So you can see sometimes the province has done this. So they want like, give me a few words and then explain why, okay? When leasing, you only pay for a portion of the value. Okay, you don't pay for the entire value of the entire car. You only pay for what you're going to be kind of using up while it depreciates. Okay, does that make sense? That's why leasing is cheaper. Oops, I take it back. Take it right back. Leasing, the payments are cheaper. They're lower. A lease in and of itself is not necessarily cheaper. Okay, in fact, it's probably not. Okay, lower payment. Next would be safer. You could say that. Okay. You always, if you constantly lease, right, you always drive a new car with the latest features. You can also say lower maintenance costs because you always drive a new car that has warranty on it and it's reliable, right? What I tell my students is make sure there's evidence that you were in class and you paid attention, right? If it's too general, you usually don't get the full marks. Next, Amrit works part-time, attends university as well. Justify why she should be buying a used car instead of a new one. You can say this, since Amrit is a student, you can say it costs less to insure. It costs less to insure. She loses less in depreciation. Okay. Anything else? Doesn't have to pay for freight. Doesn't pay for transportation. So what I'm trying to tell you here is don't say cheaper. Be very specific. It's cheaper because you don't pay for transportation. It's cheaper because you pay less in documentation fees. It's cheaper because, right, you lose less in depreciation. It costs less to insure. So be very specific why it's cheaper. If it's a private sale, you could say if it's private, you only pay PST on the car. So you save some money in taxes, but don't say it's always less in taxes because if it's from a dealer, you actually don't save. Okay. That's it, guys. So test review, where is it? I'll show you. It's found towards the back of this booklet. And I will post the key. I don't think I posted it yesterday. So 86 to 92. Let's put it on the front of our booklet. Write it right at the front, because sometimes you might want to use that for test review. Page 86. I just want to make sure it lines up. Yeah. 86 to 92, I said. Yeah. There's the pages 91, 92 are handwritten. I apologize. That's my bad handwriting. But those are leasing exclusively. So if you want some more on leasing, I will post that key as well. And that's it. That is all